In the ancient village of Varandpur, nestled between blazing deserts and towering mountains, lived a widowed woman named Savita, who raised her two sons, Arman and Rudra, with unshakable faith that destiny would crown them with greatness. For she often whispered to them at night that though their father was gone, his courage still lived in their veins, and that no injustice could defeat the strength of truth. Growing up, the brothers were inseparable, yet opposite in nature. Arman, calm and thoughtful like a river that hides storms beneath its surface, while Rudra was fiery, impulsive, and as unstoppable as a raging fire. But together, they were the pride of their mother and the hope of their village. Until one fateful year, when the tyrant land baron Virat Singh, who had been slowly enslaving farmers with deceit and crushing debts, turned his wrath toward Savita's land. For it was the last patch of fertile soil he could not bend under his control. And when Arman and Rudra stood up to him, refusing to surrender, Virat's men ambushed them in the dead of night, leaving Savita to watch her sons beaten and dragged away, their screams echoing in the cold winds before being mercilessly killed on the rocky cliffs where Virat declared with pride that no one could rise against his empire. Savita, broken yet unyielding, lifted her tear-streaked face to the heavens and cried out to the unseen forces that if truth still lived, her sons would return, for she believed the soul never dies and the universe itself bends for a mother's prayers. And though the villagers thought grief had unhinged her mind, Savita's words became legend, whispered through the years. 20 years later, in the bustling city of Nandigar, far away from the barren lands of Varanpur, two strangers who had no memory of the past were unknowingly walking parallel destinies. Kabir, a fearless underground street fighter who earned fame for his unmatched skill and his strange habit of touching the ground before every fight, as if honoring something unseen. And Veer, a daring mountaineer who risked his life rescuing strangers from avalanches and disasters, guided always by an instinctive pull to protect the helpless. Though they lived in different worlds, both carried recurring dreams of a weeping woman calling their names and flashes of a desert with burning skies, dreams they could never explain, until fate brought them together during a temple festival where chaos erupted as Virat Singh's now mightier empire, disguised as a charitable trust, sent his men to seize temple lands. And as Kabir and Veer clashed side by side against the thugs, their eyes locked with an unexplainable recognition. A fire sparking as though lifetimes collided, and though they could not name it, their souls stirred. Meanwhile, back in Varanpur, Savita, now frail yet still living in her ancestral home, had never stopped waiting at the doorway each dawn, whispering to herself that her sons would return when the time was right. And that day, when she heard of two mysterious young men who fought fearlessly against Virat's army in Nandigar, her heart raced, for she felt the universe answering her call. But Virat Singh, now older yet far more ruthless, sensed something unsettling when he saw Kabir and Veer on the news, for their eyes mirrored the defiance of Arman and Rudra. And though he laughed before his men that reincarnation was a myth, a chill gnawed at him, so he plotted to eliminate them before their shadows grew too large, sending assassins who ambushed Kabir in an abandoned warehouse, where the echoes of gunfire stirred fragments of memory in his mind, flashes of a cliff, his mother's scream, and a blade slicing through his chest, leaving him stunned yet alive. While Veer, during a daring mountain rescue, slipped and for a moment dangled between life and death when a voice within whispered, Rudra, rise again, awakening a storm in him that shattered the chains of forgetfulness. Slowly, piece by piece, the memories of their brutal deaths returned, and when Kabir and Veer finally faced each other, they realized with trembling voices and tear-streaked eyes that they were indeed Arman and Rudra reborn, brought back by the force of their mother's prayer, by destiny itself, to finish the war left incomplete. The revelation shook them, but with it came clarity that they could no longer run from fate, for the blood of truth demanded justice. They journeyed to Varanpur, standing once more before the weathered home of their childhood, where Savita stepped out, her eyes widening, her breath catching, and though age had lined her face, her soul recognized them instantly, and as she cried out their names, the village gathered in disbelief, witnessing the impossible. Two sons returned from beyond death, a miracle living before their eyes. But Virat Singh, enraged that his past crime had come back to haunt him, unleashed his full fury, sending mercenaries with guns and armored vehicles to crush not only the brothers, but the entire village, turning the peaceful land into a battlefield of fire and blood. And what followed was a storm of cinematic grandeur. Kabir channeling his disciplined warrior spirit into breaking enemies with precision. Rudra roaring like thunder as he tore through waves of soldiers. The villagers rising with sticks, stones, and rage, united at last to defend what was theirs. Until the final confrontation came atop the same rocky cliffs where Arman and Rudra once died, the winds howling as destiny completed its circle. Virat, wielding a sword drenched in arrogance, mocked that history would repeat itself. But this time, Kabir and Veer fought not as victims, but as avengers, their synchronized strikes embodying both past and present. Their blows fueled not just by revenge, but by the faith of a mother, until with one final clash, Virat fell, defeated and broken, his reign ending in the dust of the land he had poisoned. The brothers, bloodied yet unbowed, embraced Savita at sunrise, the golden rays bathing them in divine light as the villagers cheered, their voices echoing through the valley. For they had witnessed not just victory, but the power of love, justice, and destiny fulfilled. And as drums rolled and tears of joy flowed, Savita whispered to the heavens that truth had triumphed. For her sons had indeed returned, and this time they would never be taken again.